It wasn't that bad, right? Okay, welcome in. It is the Philadelphia Eagles with the NFC edition of Post Flight. And we always welcome you. We ask that you hit the thumbs up, you subscribe, you know the drill here, across the board on the Philly Voice YouTube channel. Here each and every week following an Eagles game, we break down the good, the bad, the ugly, everything in between. We listen, we hear, we try and figure out what exactly happened. And like I said at the start, it wasn't all bad.
12th play of the drive. Eagles are threatening here. Boston Scott in. The blast. Scott won't go down. Touchdown, Philadelphia.
CBS with the call there. Boston Scott, the 8-yard scamper in there. The giant killer, as Charles Davis referenced. Okay, we're going to hear from everybody and try to break down what exactly happened. I just want you to start, though, with Nick Sirianni, because this is the overall big picture of what happened and what came from Sunday's victory. And that being, of course, a big one, right? Like Nick Sirianni and the Eagles and Jalen Hurts and everybody on that field had one thing they needed to do. One thing, that was it. And that was beat the Giants and win the NFC. It didn't look pretty. It was a disaster at times. Offensively, the offense stalled. Defense was like, this guy Webb, the last time a Webb came in and did what he wanted as a third or fourth string quarterback was that fateful Joe Webb night against the Minnesota Vikings. People were having flashbacks. I mean, it was like that Dr. Phil. Slow down. All right, everybody take a break. We have been critical on this show when it's warranted, clearly. And we have been praiseworthy when it's also warranted. I want to take away that the biggest thing that I want to look at outside of the fact that the Eagles just won the game and just win, baby, was the mentality here was nothing was supposed to be flashy. Nothing was supposed to be urgent. Nothing was supposed to be truly defining here. I don't know what the hell Nick Sirianni was saying after the game about how they wanted to get their identity back. I just think that's coach speak, and I'll give him the benefit of the doubt here. But there was no real game plan, right? There was no true game plan when it came to offense outside of just don't get Hurts hurt, meaning don't ask Jalen Hurts to do a bunch of stuff on the ground specifically. They saw that cheap shot on him, and that was the concern that you had, which was, oh, man, if he's just out there a little bit longer. Now, the frustrating part of this was, well, why didn't the Eagles build this hugely? They were running a preseason offense. This goes back to the final two games before the Giants. This is why the Eagles let themselves down more than anything. This is why you look at a freaking Niners team that's won 10 straight with the Mr. Irrelevant draft pick who just threw 3 TDs against the god-awful Arizona Cardinals. And before you stop about, well, they're taking, the Giants were sitting everybody. The Giants were doing stuff that you never saw before. The Giants were making decisions that a first-time Madden player would make. It made no sense at times what Brian Daboll was doing or thinking. Outside of the fact is just get me the hell out of this football game. Now, on the Eagles side, or to the Eagles' point, or just trying to add some conversation and some sort of balance to this point, is it's too late come Sunday. Once you hit Sunday with those 2 losses and now you have to win in order to win the division, it's over. Because you had to play Jalen Hurts without a doubt. Without a shred of doubt, you had to play Jalen Hurts because you needed that win. All the stuff about his health and all, just look at how they played him. If that was not a must-win scenario, Jalen Hurts would not be out on the field. But he had to be out on the field because the Eagles just shit all over themselves for 2 straight weeks. And you had a spot now where it was like, oh, man, we got to have all hands. Gardner Johnson's out there with coming off a lacerated kidney. None of these guys should have been out there in that game. Brian Daboll had the right decision, had the right idea.
It's the NFL, so the guys you have on your team, you have confidence in. I certainly have confidence in all the guys that we have. It's
You're not playing walk-ons and things like that. You're playing people that earn the right to be on the team and compete and play. So whoever we have out there, I have confidence in. They all know what to do. Thought they played a very competitive game. There's a few things, obviously, we could have done a little bit better. Tried a few plays to get us going there on the fake field goal and onside kick.
Come on. Onside kicks, fake field goals. What are we talking about?
Saw a little bit there for the first.
Those plays didn't even look like they were organized.
A little bit. So, tough, competitive.
This guy didn't want any part of this football game.
We value on our roster.
And look, I get it. The Eagles win the NFC and they knock off the Giants, and who cares? I don't. That's the point. I want you can't extrapolate anything from that game on Sunday, just like you couldn't from a preseason game. The Eagles were in such an unfortunate, difficult, just lose-lose scenario. It's impossible to take anything from that football game outside of the fact that Jalen Hurts didn't get hurt. The defense, I'm not looking at anything on the defense. They were just trying to get out and secure the win. It was just about securing the win. So you want to bitch and moan, you want to jump from the Ben Franklin, you want to do all these different things here because why? They didn't blow out the Giants. If you're upset about that, and if you're upset about how they played and the fact that they had to run the preseason offense and the fact that Jalen Hurts even had to be out there in the first place, go back to the New Orleans game. Go back to the Cowboys game. This stuff doesn't happen in a vacuum. I know each week it's about matchups and all. It doesn't just happen overnight like that. You form an identity. And over the last 2 weeks, the Eagles' identity is gone. And now, this following week here, where they beat the Giants, it's like, okay, you can exhale. You can finally exhale. But then what? See? Where are you now moving forward? That's a different conversation. We'll have that. But Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts, Jonathan Gannon, everybody that was involved, it was about winning a football game. And as ugly as it was at times, it was never meant to be trying. That team was not trying to beat the Giants. They were trying to not lose. And I don't fault anybody on game day. I fault why they were there in the first place. 3 big takeaways. First one is they get the win. They get the win, and nobody got hurt. All right? They got the win, and nobody got hurt. That's the biggest takeaway of them all. The second is I don't know what to make of that late run with the Giants. I don't.
Got a first down. I'm thinking 2 plays if I'm the Giants. Again, it's Webb. Right up the middle. Webb into the end zone. Touchdown, Giants. Davis Webb with some power in those legs and upper body.
That's one. And then you saw this improbable play.
1:45 left. Giants have no timeouts remaining.
What the hell is this shit?
Webb is going to take a shot to the end zone. Oh, what a grab. Kenny Golladay. Touchdown, Giants.
Yeah. CBS the call there both times over. And I wanted to highlight those 2 plays because that, I think, is what people are focusing on. That's what is getting people so upset following this game. I can't believe that you gave up those points. Is that guy still on? I can't believe it. I don't know who else is out there yelling and screaming, but no. It's not going to be for me. It can't be for me because this team, from a defensive standpoint, it's really difficult to play cautious football unless you're putting backups out there and saying, just go ahead and do that. But they still had starters in there. And it was a bizarre situation. It truly was bizarre that you had a team with starters in there that wasn't really trying, going up against a bunch of backups that I don't know what the hell they were doing. It wasn't trying. It wasn't failing. It was just some other shit. Hey, I think the second takeaway here is don't look at it too deep. Because now if you're blaming the Eagles defense, if you're blaming inefficiencies, if you're on this specific day for that specific game, for those specific scores, I don't think you're being true to the circumstances. I really don't. Third takeaway. We had our biggest, our second biggest, and now we just, okay. Because there's not much. There really isn't much. The third takeaway is where we began. The team put themselves in this position. And they didn't have a chance to reestablish their identity. Nobody was giving them a chance to reestablish their identity internally, and rightfully so. A must-win game that's just going to give you a week off to where you're hosting whoever's in front of you for the playoffs, and you want to show out, and you want to put out stuff and go crazy with plays and be creative and pull shit out of your rear that you know you haven't done before? What? Hold on a second. That's the complete opposite of what you want to do in this spot. And you should have done the same, and it shouldn't have mattered who won this game. And if it played to a draw, so be it, because you already took care of your business the previous 2 weeks. One of those 2 previous weeks. You want to blame it on Minshew against New Orleans? Then don't blame it on him against Dallas. One of the 2 is fine. Probably both are fine. I'm good with that. That's what frustrates me. This was never about reestablishing your identity, ever about reestablishing anything, but just getting back and winning the damn conference. That's all. That's all this was. That's all this is. That's all. When you truly look at the Philadelphia Eagles season, the last game of the year, I think, is a pretty good portion, representation of some of this year. Which is, man, you guys like, and ultimately you win because you don't need to play great. You don't need to play perfect. Times you had, you're a machine. You won a bunch of games, but this last game should never have happened the way in which it happened. And I can't get around that. I cannot. I'm sorry, but that is the biggest takeaway or issue that I should say issue, not takeaway, that I've had over the last 3 weeks. Coming into this game, it was something that you could see from a mile. Coming into this game, you just knew that they should never have been in this circumstance in the first place. All right, now what? Well, you get a week off. You get a week off. Jalen Hurts gets to rest up. More importantly, Lane Johnson gets more rest. Who the hell knows where he is? But I like the chances with him on the field versus not. That's without debate. Eagles, can't talk about potential opponents yet. You can't talk about any of that. Here's what I'd look at. All right. Last thing. This is what I'd look at. This is a weak quarterback class in the NFC when it comes to the playoffs. You've got Daniel Jones, who's brand new. You've got Dak Prescott, who's got a short time in the playoffs, but it ain't good. You've got Kirk Cousins. Ditto. Same thing about Dak. You've got Brock Purdy, a rookie, the last guy taken in the draft. It's the playoffs, mind you, not the regular season where you can take advantage of some team in week 16. You've got Jalen Hurts. Oh, you got Tom Brady, who has been awful this year, god awful this year. This is the worst year for Tom Brady, and it's not even close. Then you have Jalen Hurts. Do you see the difference? Just, we're out of here. Thumbs up, subscribe, all of that, please. But do you see the difference between the quarterback in Philadelphia and every other team right now in the NFC? I hope you do, because this is going to be one special ride.